Hello, if you're here, you will hopefully have joined Alfredo on his whole journey throughout Tomb Raider 2 for the first time.
Otherwise, go back and look at the episodes.
Go watch everything, it was a heck of a journey. And we're here today to talk all about it. I put a shout out online asking for questions, and I think roughly 80 something people replied. We're not going to go through 80 questions, there's no way we would manage it, we'd be here forever, but I have collated most of the primary questions because a lot of them were repeated. So are you ready to talk about Tomb Raider 2 and your experiences?
Very ready.
Let's do it. Between Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2, what differences did you most notice as a first-time player?
Tomb Raider 2 feels like, in a way, light years ahead in terms of gameplay, etc. It's really surprising that it was just 1 year later, and you can do so much more.
Yeah.
I think it feels very like big jump. It's not just like, oh, we built upon what we learned last year, and we're gonna do a little extra. Like, you have so much more. Lara's abilities, the different environments, the fact that you have boat in Venice and snowbike in Tibet, like there is so much new stuff. So yeah, there are a lot of new. Also, think of a couple of new weapons: the grenade launcher and
the machine gun.
The machine gun, the harpoon gun.
The useless harpoon gun. Okay, so here's a question that quite a lot of people asked. What was your favourite level? Let's dive straight into the good stuff.
I am not sure. I should have prepared that. That was going to be the probably the standard question.
Yeah.
At least very common question.
So obviously you've got the Italian levels at the start, you have the oil rig, the ship underwater, then you're back.
I can tell you which one is not my favorite.
We'll get to that.
I'm sure. I think it needs to be one of the Tibetan levels.
I was going to ask, is it going to be the monastery?
Possibly. I think the monastery was the most intriguing one in terms of puzzle, etc. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the monastery.
Here's another question that a lot of people asked. Counter, what is the level you detested the most?
40 fathoms.
And why was that?
Because... flame, the side of my face. Actually, no, flame all around poor Lara. I killed Lara so many times.
I was going to put a counter in the corner, but in the end, no, there's too many deaths. Too many.
The level is difficult, and it feels that the difficulty is not worth it, in the sense. Now
that's very controversial. That's very controversial.
No, I don't think it's that controversial.
A lot of people love 40 fathoms.
Well,
are they wrong?
No, like you can love whatever you want, but you need to, as we've seen, you need to be flawless in the execution of that part of the level.
Yeah.
And it is not even a crucial part. You're not ending the level. You are not. That is the big challenge for the level. But we know sort of payoff. It is not.
It's just a little in between bit.
Yeah, it's a little in between bit. We've seen with the other level underwater that there are some very tricky and complex things that you need to do between finding secrets or just to make sure that you can progress. That one is just particularly difficult, and then you're just like, oh, you're in another room that you need to do more jumping, more enemy fighting, etc. It's just, there is nothing in a way creative about that.
Do you think it's difficult for the sake of being difficult?
It's difficult for the sake of being difficult, and obviously it's not in my skill set doing good
Pinpoint
timing.
perfect timing session. Okay, that's fine.
So this is why I did not like it. I am so furious at this level because it is absolutely shoddy design.
What surprised you the most about Tomb Raider 2? And are there any things that you would change about the game?
I think probably based on the reaction, what surprised me the most was the snow bike. I did not expect a second vehicle. And I'm not being flippant. I think that was genuine to think of because the boat was fun, etc. Maybe I've seen you play that level loads of times, so maybe I was just expecting it. But you're also in a very tight three-dimensional environment. You are moving on lines. So
For the canals.
For the canals,
Okay.
yes. So you have a grid. What I kept thinking is 25 years ago, yes, vanguard of gaming, but it was a simpler approach, having like, oh, your boat can move in this confined space.
Yeah.
The snow bike is just like, go crazy, you can fall off, you can jump. I died multiple times. I didn't know I could explode just by banging into things.
You know what? Oh. Yeah, that also happens.
No, I genuinely think that was fantastic. And I would change about getting a bit more story in the story.
This is leading very nicely on to the next question,
Oh, okay.
or rather set of questions, because a lot of people wanted to know your thoughts and opinions on the story.
Clue is opinionated as well.
Sometimes you'll hear little noises, I'm sure. So what did you think of the storyline? How do you think it compared in terms of storytelling to the first game? And did you enjoy the plot and its characters?
I think the first game had more story. You understand exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and how everything relates. And I feel as a villain, Natla has a much more interesting motivation.
It is slightly deeper than what we presume of Bartoli is.
It's mostly it would be even a few throwaway lines, even in a terrible mockery of my accent, would have. You cannot see him, but
I don't know if you can. No.
Clue is literally at the edge of maybe you can see his nose. We assume that the dagger gives you what? Immortality, power?
So yeah, it obviously transforms the person who uses it into a dragon and has continuing regenerative powers as long as they still have it lodged inside them.
But is he conscious?
Is he conscious? Can he speak? It's like, what? If he's this big cult leader, he's not really going to be able to issue any commands as a dragon. Or is his plan just to stomp and set fire to everything?
And you see, this I think we discussed in the last episode is clearly the cult is obsessed with this. This is why they go after Lara and try to get Dagger. So what more than just like, oh, if you're stabbed with it, you turn into a big dragon with the dagger. I just like...
There could have been a religious aspect to it. Like when he stabbed himself, the people around him did seem to be worshipping him from some sense. So maybe that was an angle that they wanted to go for, but they didn't really pad it out.
This is how I would expand the story. First of all, you want the setting in Venice, perfect. You make it. You have mentions that the dagger was mentioned in Marco Polo's epic journal on his travel to China, Il Milione. So that's your Venice connection, and why this family is obsessed with this dagger. And so you can make, oh yeah, they're descendant or rivals, and they try to get this dagger. And the dagger, what does it do? Gives you powers, gives you eternal life. And I feel that I think for the cultists, because you don't just want the regular hench people. The cultist needs to believe that just being in the presence of the daggers also give them power, health, eternal life. You want, maybe not eternal life, but longer longevity, etc. Benefits, exactly. It's not just health and dental. You want something a little bit more concrete. You want this feel that they think, oh, this dagger is important. And the ritual is this. And the ritual should be like, if we're going with like, I don't know, very probably the most definitely bastardized idea of the dragon emperor, etc. You want this emperor to be able to transform to a dragon at will to defeat their enemy. So it's just like he stabs himself,
and then he has the power inside him.
The power comes out, and this thing, but whenever he. Maybe Lara works out that whenever he's in dragon form, it cannot be controlled, and it's just fresh and everything, and it's just like something that the emperor just used few occasions, and then Bartoli doesn't know any better, and just like, oh, I'm gonna stab myself, and suddenly is a monster.
Yeah.
Kill the cultist there, and Lara's like, oh, this is gonna be a problem. We need to keep him buried here, but she knows that you pull away the dagger, and you lose the power.
Yeah.
And they say, pull away the dagger. Bartoli is back as a man, not the skeleton of a dragon. And then it's just like, oh, I have a dagger and two guns. Goodbye, Mr. Italian.
A couple of different people have asked, were there any moments that you found unnerving or scary?
So, when it comes to spooky tension stuff, definitely the spiders.
Yep.
Mostly because the nest looked like it was ready to explode, and it should have. I feel that again. I hate 40 Fathoms for having something so difficult with very little payoff.
Yeah.
And that one is the opposite. I am there doing all this careful jumping, terrified that something is going to happen, and then nothing happens.
Maybe the fear of it happening is enough, though.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it Chekhov's spider nest?
Yeah. No, an anti-Chekhov spider's nest. I just feel, again, I don't know, it would be very interesting to hear, they're like behind the scenes, like why did they create that? Because again, 40 Fathoms, evil. But also, maybe you're right, maybe the spider, like, yeah, we don't have the capability to animate like 100 spiders coming at you, or 50 spiders coming at you.
Just a big one big one.
But making you feel that they might is going to be as equally taxing as failing the 40 Fathoms run 30 times.
I would also add the Yeti cave.
The Yeti cave, yes, there was a few shots. Oh, there was the snow leopard. Thank you for sending me to my death. There was, I think, in the monastery. I think it was the monastery, or maybe it was the. There was definitely a bit where there the killing wheels.
Yep.
And you could hear them from a distance. And it's just like when you finally get there, and it's just like
you've heard them for so long that
it's but even in the Temple of Xian, there's been a few like jump that are like, okay, I'm safe now, and then killed immediately. That's what happens.
Great job, Alfredo. Great job.
On to some of the gameplay aspects.
Yes.
And we will start with, did you enjoy or dislike the extra combat that the game had to offer? Do you prefer facing human enemies or the animals? And what did you think to the abundance of human enemies in this game compared to Tomb Raider 1?
I liked it. It made sense with the story. You have this group of cultists. It would make sense if you explain why they're so committed to this guy. But I did like it. I did like that you had allies for the first time with the monks. If you were careful not to killing a monk. I did love the all the different animals and the yeti, and some of the big monster like that weird eagle thing in Ice Palace. I'm pretty sure like, oh yes, we have the T-Rex model, what can we put on top of it?
Giant eagle.
The giant eagle. But I think there was a lot of variety, and then they were all good fun. They ask if I prefer human enemies to animals.
Yeah.
I would say human enemies simply because, as we have discussed a lot, she's a one-woman extinction event. And I kept thinking like, we found T-Rex in Tomb Raider 1, and like, we found T-Rexes again. But for how long? And then the poor snow leopards and the tigers, there are like only 300 tigers in the wild in the world, and in this game I think she literally got rid of a third. So
she is a mess.
I prefer. Yeah, I feel. Don't know what it says about my morale. Actually, no, it's fine.
A game, it's fine.
No, it's fine. They're cultists, so they're coming.
Did you have a favourite weapon that you used in the game?
Of course. You want to guess what my favorite?
Was it the Uzis?
Yes, I love the Uzis, which is. I'm very happy about the Uzis, but I am sad that the shotgun is not my favorite weapon anymore.
You didn't have a lot of ammo for that this time.
Didn't have a lot of ammo, and it really felt clunky.
More than the first game?
Way more than the first game. Compared
it's the same mechanic.
It probably is the same mechanics, but the enemies are faster. And like I felt that it was not as powerful. I did enjoy the M16. That was new and exciting.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But remember that they throw knives.
Remember that I have an M16.
But yes, the Uzis remain my favorite.
How about the grenade launcher?
I thought it was going to be more useful.
That's fair. If it was faster...
Yeah,
it
this
would be
thing,
better.
I feel that there is no enemy that is... Maybe the eagle dude. With a variety of weapons, you need a variety of enemy speed. So
Yeah, that's fair.
and Bartoli in Dragon's form was way too fast for anything else apart from automatic stuff. Even
Yeah.
the M16, it would have been too fast.
Definitely. I think the game knows that because of the amount of Uzi ammo underwater.
Yeah, clearly. So if I had to do it all again, I think I would use the M16 and grenade launcher more. Like when I was up in the floating islands temple part, that I was hitting the Jade Warriors, I would be hitting them with a grenade launcher, just like instead of just going with
Just
a gun
because
slowly.
you could.
Just because I could.
So let's talk a little bit more about the locations and gameplay of the game. First up, what did you think of Croft Manor in the game, and did you enjoy locking Winston in the freezer?
I really liked it, and it was a dream come true because I've seen so many of you discussing the locking Winston in the freezer, and that was great. Took me a couple of times to get it done, but yeah.
Of course, in the second one as well, the manor is greatly expanded upon.
Yeah.
Because also it has like the maze and much more to do inside as well. Is there anything that you would have added to the manor?
A collection.
A collection, that's interesting.
Well, we know that she's a tomb raider for sport, not for knowledge or power. She's just interested in seeing stuff and say, that's mine.
Ooh, shiny thing, I want it.
We should see a collection.
I like that idea.
And also, like, what else? A library.
She's got a library.
Did we see it?
Yeah, even in the first one, it's the very first room you start off in. You know, if you go up the top of the stairs, if you go left, it's got her bedroom.
Yeah.
If you go right, there's a music room and a library.
We didn't go there.
No, we didn't in this one.
So, okay, fine. Just a collection.
Okay. So a couple of the Italians in the comments wanted to know your feelings about Venice in the first few levels, how it's portrayed, but not only that, but what more similarities or differences did you find in the game about the Italian art, culture, and architecture?
I actually enjoy Venice in the game. Again, in terms of storyline, it should have been clear that Lara was trapped in like a part of Venice. I think it was important to have, like, if I were to redo it in a modern setting, you would put just like that she is. I'm thinking like a sort of almost underground canals or with stuff on top, so that she cannot escape the environment, because then the Bartley cult would see her. So that's how you keep her boxed in in the canals. But I think that the architecture and the style was brilliant. I think the use of the opera house was also very inspired, mostly because I think at the same time it was when this was being made, I think it was when the La Fenice, the opera house in Venice, burned. But we saw they completely reconstructed, and it's called the Phoenix. So maybe
it's almost like they expected
or
it.
Omen Nomen. But I think it was at the same time. I was young, so yeah, it was destroyed in 1996.
So it would have been maybe on their mind.
Yeah, when they're discussing Venice, and they saw the crumbling theater. I did like that idea, I know that there are like why the hideout is so complicated. The switches are in weird places.
How does he get to his office?
Yes, but again, let's consider it's a 25-year-old game. You didn't have to have that exactly. The story needs to be
exact logic for it.
Yeah, and it's mostly like, you need to solve puzzle. You would do something very different, but again, is the fact that you need Lara to be boxed in somehow.
Yeah. So speaking of things like the Opera House, what do you think, and what are your feelings on the more modern or industrial levels in comparison to more classic tombs?
The industrial levels, I think, are really good in the sense that suddenly you have a completely different approach. You start very ancient in China. You go to Venice, to very modern, the oil rig.
It gives a lot of variety.
It's a lot of variety. We discuss Lara Croft as the Tomb Raider, and they're like, she's not doing raiding many tombs in the reboot, but she raided one tomb here. Yeah.
So as it goes on, what you say is not an uncommon thing that people have pointed out, that in the older games they count tombs to mean any ancient place which is, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but there are a lot of temples as the classic Tomb Raider games go on. There are a lot of temples versus actual tomb rooms with sarcophaguses in, for example.
Okay.
And they are sort of counted as this sort of ancient environment, really.
You see, at least the first one had 3 tombs. 2?
2. Sticking with a theme-ish, are there any areas that you think could have been fleshed out better or explored? And if so, what would you like to have seen represented?
So, I think in Venice, I would have loved a church.
Oh, interesting.
I think...
Catacombs. They can't really have... Well, yeah, you can.
I think, like, it could have been at the beginning, very Indiana Jones, but I think that would sort of... it would be even more interesting thematically. Like, the way I would have approached the Maria Doria, I would have put the Seraph in like a little shrine, a little puzzle, either something very protected. Again, it's wrong, probably wrong time for that kind of detail kind of thing, but in a modern setting, the cultist thinks that this is an object of great power, getting close to their immortality little thing. Make a worship room.
Interesting.
And so you would have
a proper special area rather than just
church
a storage cupboard she found it in.
Yeah, and this thing, it's also I feel that you needed to have like, why, if the monks were so obsessed with it so much that they would bomb the why wouldn't they go and try, like, there needs to be complexity, and the only person in the world that can overcome that complexity is your hero or your anti-hero, Miss Lara Croft.
Yeah. What was the most memorable part of Tomb Raider 2 that you will always keep in your heart and mind? And what will you visualize now that when you hear the words Tomb Raider 2 after playing the game?
Okay, those are very good questions. Probably visualize. Oh my god! I probably visualize 40 fathoms.
No, really.
I think
let's try a little exercise. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And I want you to answer with the first words. Tomb Raider 2. Go.
No, it's Temple of Xian.
Yay!
It's. I think 40 fathoms also. It's in a way it's too memorable. Like it is engraved in my mind now, just because of my hate for it. But yeah, the Temple of Xian is just so fascinating. But also the. Even earlier we did not mention about the anxiety is the bits in which is complete pitch black with. See, it is
because of the new mechanic, which was the flares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think this is such a revolutionary. So, Tomb Raider 1 was great. It was groundbreaking, and the fact that their sequel, just 1 year, is just so. It just in terms of game mechanics, so Tomb Raider 1 fun, don't come from, but it's so much better. In game mechanics, they just went from like, oh yeah, this is the best game that we can make. Oh, and a year later say, oh, that was 50% of what we could make. So yeah, Catacombs, Temple of Xian, and 40 Fathoms.
Interesting. Do you feel like these games are still entertaining now that gaming has evolved so much? And would a remake or remaster announcement for Tomb Raider 2 pique your interest as a casual gamer?
Absolutely. I would 100% replay, and 100% these are iconic and for good reasons. I can think of a few games from the same time that are just as groundbreaking. But the reason why they became classic is because they are game changers.
Yes.
You see, my puns are amazing.
I can't believe you got one in this time.
And it is difficult for somebody who's more of a modern gamer, though I've been gaming for decades, just that I didn't have a PlayStation, so I know there was also on computers. But I think it's they are just so brilliant, even if it's not easy first to play. But this is what, for me, it is absurd, because if they just updated the files and they slapped them on one of the streaming, PlayStation Plus, the Nintendo
Store.
No, it's just if you on the subscription.
Yeah.
I was like, or even just say, oh yes, you can just play for 10 quid. People will buy it.
They will. I just
Even
want-
without updated graphic, just because I have my latest console, I'm just going to download all of that.
I just want to be able to play Tomb Raider from the sofa with a controller again. So, speaking a little bit more about things like this, if there was to be a from the ground up remake of this game, what would you like to see changed, and what would you like to see faithfully, painstakingly recreated, and why?
Ooh, okay. We discussed that I would like the story to expand. Seriously, get in touch. I'll write it for you for free. It's no, because I think it's very good. Okay, I'll write it for free, but we'll find somebody Chinese that can actually cover all that, and you're gonna pay them to actually making stuff that are not offensive or insulting, and actually make sense with the different mythos and ideas that we could build upon. But all the stuff about the Italian part, I find fascinating. I feel that there is so much potential. I love the idea of secret society. We can come up with something very creative that is not the standard, it's the Illuminati. There are so many brilliant secret society in gaming. You can definitely do something that is so creative. And seriously, it could be even a little bit, what I would actually want is the secret society is camp, in the sense that they're not just I wouldn't care if... I actually would prefer that it's Bartoli and all his goons to be trying to be young forever, right? I want to take over the world. I want something over the top.
Something cosmetic.
Not exactly cosmetic, but you don't want another Trinity. It's enough with taking over the world. It's just, I feel that Lara's stakes would be the monk, getting a promise from her of just getting the seraph, and I feel that Lara needs to constantly needs to always be. I feel that Bartoli needs to be smart.
Yeah.
Probably older but smart. So, for example, if Bartoli was, I don't know, when Lara was going to get the seraph, in my headcanon, in a complex puzzle secret room, and I don't know, Bartoli raised the Moriadori from the abyss, and something that makes, or I don't know, that floods the room, and Lara needs to choose between saving her life or keeping the seraph. It's all about how I feel that at the end of every section, Lara needs to be slightly at a disadvantage, not because Bartoli is cleverer than her, mostly because he plays dirty, or even more dirty than Lara. I feel that would be quite intriguing. That then, when she finally gets the dagger, is going to be the crucial thing that they're like, oh, now I have the dagger, I have my guns. I'm gonna shoot you in the face, or let you die horribly as the temple around us crumbles.
Speaking a little bit more about the dagger, we had a little bit of a more out there question, which was, if you had the dagger, Alfredo, what would you do with it?
Very much, again, depends about the powers of the dagger. We know that it turns into a dragon.
It keeps you alive as long as that's stabbed in you. But also there is a whole other power that nobody ever really talks about. And right at the very start of the game, the monks take the dagger out of the emperor. They return it to the temple, and as soon as they put it into its plinth, they are engulfed in this bright pink light, this just eruption of, I don't know, energy? Light? It could be, we don't know what. But either way, they scream, the doors slam closed behind them, we don't know what the heck that was. So there is a lot more to this dagger than we know about.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
I think I'd just put it on the shelf.
I would not put the dagger anywhere near where you can accidentally stab yourself.
I would
Then
make
I come home with
my head sticking to
Yeah.
the ceiling,
I'm like,
tail in the neighbours.
I stumble and I stab myself. I'm a dragon now. There'd be a lot of, you still love me even if I'm a dragon.
I don't think it'd be able to speak. It would just be roaring and fire, which you could take to interpret as, do you still love me as a dragon?
We don't know, like, if you can be able to speak or not. So, I don't know, yeah, I will keep it somewhere extremely safe, but I will be interested to test its abilities and properties.
Like a true scientist.
Like a true scientist.
So this is an interesting question. After playing this game, does Lara inspire you to become a Tomb Raider?
I've been obsessed with archaeology, not the disruptive...
It doesn't inspire you to go and ransack an ancient site?
Not so much, but again, she remains a fascinating character because she is truly an unwilling hero. But again, we do not know the scope of Bartoli, so it could have been based on Natla's I'm gonna kill everyone in the world. We assume that he wants to do the same, but we don't know that. But again, she is. We want Lara. I think hopefully in the next adventure, I think you should start with Lara just not minding her own business because she doesn't do that, but she's on an adventure, doing some cool stuff, and then suddenly she is caught in this drama, and she tried to sort of get out of it, and the more she tried to get out of it, she realized that, oh, if I don't get it done, nobody else will.
If you want something done properly, do
Yeah.
it yourself.
I think that is pretty much her attitude, and
To be honest, that's
because-
kind of how she was in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where she kept shouting, I'm the only one who can fix this.
oh, that's
But it comes from a different angle.
That comes from guilt because she's the reason why everything is a shit show in Shadow because of Lara. Like, oh, I want to take down Trinity, fair, and instead, I'm gonna start the end of the world, cause a tsunami, etc. So I feel that is not the same kind of motivation, and I think that is the problem with the Cults and Secret Society. If they are so powerful and big and important, why is nobody else in the world paying attention to this? The monks, very interesting that the monks send, they are allies, but at the same time, they sent one monk against all of the cult with no weapons, and I'm like,
Oh, the one in the rig?
yeah.
He probably was part of a group and they probably just got massacred. That's my thought. Anyway, I've never thought that there was just one of
Okay,
them.
fine. And her constant realization when she's put in this scenarios in which you want her to be the hero and save the day is that, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna complain constantly about it.
I love that.
And I'm gonna make witty jokes, and I'm gonna get artifacts, because this is what I'm here for. So, yes.
So, wrapping up, close to the end of this now, what was it about Tomb Raider 2 that stands out the most to you guys? Well, to us. You go first, or shall I go first?
No, you can go first.
The absolute variety.
Okay.
The absolute variety in locations, the variety of ways that Lara can die. There are a lot of different things in this game in terms of different places around the world, but also they share
Traps,
one common thing, is that the traps are always deadly and cruel.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I feel that, as you've seen in all these episodes, for me, the thing that stuck with me was the lack of tea from my husband. I think I got 2 cups across 18 levels.
Also, would you like a cup of tea?
I would love a cup of tea, and I love that I had that offered.
No, I think what I said about the fact that the game is just so complex compared to its predecessor that just came out a year earlier. I think it's just such a jump up in quality.
So, Chris, why do you keep censoring Alfredo? I don't know, why do I?
Didn't even fucking ask the...
I missed it. What was the most useful advice that I gave you?
Oh, I think everyone will be remiss if I don't mention so that you need to hold down X.
Just hold the button.
Hold the button, literally.
Even, it made me laugh as well. Even with the automatics, you would repeatedly.
Yeah.
It's like automatic. But I noticed as well that bit you a little bit in the butt when it came to things like the shotgun being slow, and also the M16, because you have to hold that down. Otherwise, if you just tap that, she doesn't complete the animation necessary to fire.
Yes, and a lot of people at the Derby event complain, literally say, why are you not holding the X button down? Oh, it's my game. But I think I got much better.
You did. By the end, you were flipping around, jumping, shooting, and it looked great. You were doing it like a pro.
What?
In the vein of this question, we have a very good one that says, what is the best advice that you would give to another first-time player of Tomb Raider 2?
I would say, that is a very good question. I would say take your time. Again, I feel that my my profound hate of 40 Fathoms and whoever programmed that level, it came for the fact that we had very short allocated time for playing each level, and we're filming it, and that psychologically is a little bit taxing. Like when it's a final level, no, because
I'm sure at some part we started in the day and then it was dark by the time we finished.
But I kept thinking Temple of Xian is complex. I died so many different times, and there were bits that are like, oh, this will be complicated. But there was nothing as frustrating. Like when I fell into the lava / red mercury, that it took me a few times to work out, like, oh, no, I am dying stupidly, I need to look around, etc. It's just like this thing, it's once you die 2 or 3 times in the same level, you start thinking, like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. The 45 instead of like, I know exactly what I need to do, I simply cannot do it. So I feel that I would say just take your time with the levels, and if you feel like there are things that are a bit frustrating, take a step back.
I like that, that's good. I think if it was me, I would say save often.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to die and throw yourself into the action.
Run, run, run.
Trying.
Keep running.
Run! Oh!
Final question.
Final question. Shall we bring Llewellyn up for the final question?
We can bring him up.
Do-do-do-do.
Hello. Final question,
Final question.
which you actually did answer at the end of the last episode.
Ooh.
Will you be playing Tomb Raider 3?
Well, if I must, yes, of course I'm gonna play Tomb Raider 3. We're gonna play every single Tomb Raider, as long as you guys keep watching, and I think probably up to Shantytown in reboot.
Just up to the shantytown. and
Just
stop.
up to Shantytown, so that you can see Chris have an aneurysm for how I play. Then rage quit with the. That's not how you play. Actually, probably no. It's
That would
not
be a
even-
great final moment.
Is-
Me rage quitting.
Yeah, you
whilst
rage
watching.
quitting.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I will have to probably to edit the last episode. I will have to like release it as a
A special
as
astrological.
a special astrologic episode.
So, before any of that, do you know anything at all about Tomb Raider 3?
No.
Nothing.
I was thinking that earlier because I knew a fair bit about Tomb Raider 2 because
You did. You kept mentioning the
all
dragon,
of you,
the ship.
Yeah, all of you, Venice, all of you raiders, never shut up about Tomb Raider 2. I have no idea about anything about Tomb Raider. Wait a minute. Is it Antarctica? Area 51?
Yes.
Okay, I know some bits, but I don't know how they are
Don't know
all
how everything-
connected. Maybe there is a motorbikes now. There's
Nope.
no quad.
There is a quad.
There's the quad,
Yes.
and you shoot somebody in a helicopter at some point.
Yes.
Okay,
But-
so you see, all my knowledge comes from listening and watching the Raidercast videos, but you can imagine how fragmented it is if that is the best I could come up with for... So,
Ooh, it's gonna be
so my
exciting.
guess, before I come back to you next year,
Yeah.
it's gonna be something obviously alien-y because of Area 51, but also Antarctica. Maybe... Does Natla come back at some point? In Atlantic, because maybe... Okay, I'm going for... There are aliens that have buried something in Antarctica, probably connected to Natla and the Atlanteans. But there is some important stuff in Area 51, and there's, I think, some jungle. There must be some jungle.
Yeah.
And the other piece of the puzzle of whatever things that Natla needs is in the jungle.
Okay.
So that is my description of Tomb Raider 3. No spoilers in the comments, please. This has been delightful. Thank you so much for all your kind words and all your wonderful comments. There were a few that I tried to go back and find. A couple about the astrology as well. And for the life of me, I cannot find because you guys comment a lot. So,
There's a lot of comments.
it's
good.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely lovely. Like it really is really touching. So thank you very much for all the kind words, all the support, and yes, I guess we'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year in Tomb Raider 3.
Tomb Raider 3.